10, 15 minutes and see if there's chemistry and let you and our friend Antoine here go back and forth. I guess if it gets too crazy, we can interject, but no, I don't want to add anything. We can kind of let the conversation be between the two of you if you guys are okay with that. Is that cool with you, Fanatiq and Antoine?
It can be. My only question that I would ask is why wouldn't Twan reach out to me directly? Why was he so afraid to have just a one-on-one conversation with me?
See, the answer to Murph's question would have just been yes or no, but you do this like rambling. But anyways, yes, I'm okay with that. And secondly, I don't know anything about you. I don't know your name. I just heard you call me a coon yesterday, and that was that. I'm not psychic. I know we was telepaths and shit, but I guess that missed my genetic lineage. But go ahead, take it away.
So, but you knew how to get in contact with me. You know how to get in contact with me through them. Why didn't you just reach out to me directly?
Did you not just hear me say I have no idea who you are?
But you knew that I was in contact with
The
them, so you
chat
know you
will
could
be
have
able to hear
contacted
us,
contact.
and they
You could
can.
have
This is
gotten my
actually
contact
great.
information
I
from
did
them.
ask.
The same
I
way.
did
Hold
ask.
on, if you cannot interrupt. The
Oh
same
shit,
way.
chat.
I didn't
If you
hear your
cannot,
question.
if you cannot interrupt.
I asked Jackson for your
If you
information.
cannot interrupt, it seems like you're
I
not
just
capable of
answered your
having a
Is
civil
question.
this like
conversation.
when a
In the
person takes
same way
two
that
poisonous
when I reach
spiders and they
in the
put them in
same
a
way, look, it seems
box
like
and
you can't
they
really
like
stop interrupting.
rattle it and they say
You have the
fight?
same
You know what I'm talking
uncivil
about?
nature, and you said you were what,
Is that what
40%
this is?
European, but that might not be the
Is
No,
this
case. Who
like
knows what
dog
it is?
no,
fighting?
Anyway, so
no,
in the same way,
no.
Dude, I love
that when I
Twan.
wanted to get your information,
Black
I
on
went to
black
them directly. I went
violence.
to Hurting Murphy. I went to them and I asked them,
We're doing the
"Hey,
meta
can you give me
thing.
It's
Twan's
squirting
number?
turkey to you,
If you truly
Bucko,
wanted to
huh?
talk to me, why didn't you try to get my information from them?
Here, real
I
quick,
didn't
I'm
know
gonna
anything
turn
about
them up a
you.
little
I don't know
bit.
who the freak you are. I had to get that
Who the
information from
frick
them,
you
and I
are?
asked them to talk to you directly. Why are you afraid to talk to me one on
Here,
one?
let me
Why
let
do you
me
need to talk to me on their platform for that white
can I
gaze?
Okay,
can I
tampon.
moderate
Can
here
I
a little
answer?
bit?
Can I answer your
Because
question,
we're
tampon?
gonna
So
go
I did ask Jackson for your
we're
information.
well
I did ask.
we're gonna go back and forth here endlessly. I think perhaps we
Oh,
should
so you
just
did ask
jump
them
into
for
the
that, and they just
debate.
refused to give you the conversation?
Oh my goodness.
So you have it now. I just sent you a friend request. Would you like to have this conversation so we can go ahead and do it without them interjecting or interrupting or not having to do it on their platform? Or are you afraid to
They
do
said that
so?
they're going to mute. I think we can
Oh, well,
do it
that's
on this.
boring, dude.
Yeah, we could do it here with them here.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, you want that white gaze. I got you. So earlier,
I
look,
mean, we could do both.
yeah. So
Yeah, you
Froja,
want that
yeah,
white
you do.
money. You want that
Fro,
white money, that
that's
reparation, right? I don't go around begging the white man. Oh, Cyril.
Eat
Frojak.
it. Just sit.
Oops.
Frojak's earlier, they asked me, see, why would he do this? He gets attacked. What did he get out of it? And I'll tell you what you get. You get them butter biscuits. You feel good because you're fighting for white approval. You want these white
Oh,
people
here,
to
I'm gonna turn our
congratulate
mic
you and
down a
pat you
little
on the
bit.
back and tell you you're just
Them
like
butter
them,
biscuits,
which is
boy.
why they call you an honorary Aryan. You want them niggas to give you their approval, and that's what you get out of it because you suck the dick of white men. That's why. So it's not like you.
Ooh.
It's not like you don't understand that you're a Kuni.
Yeah,
You
he
don't.
hates
It's not like
white
you don't
people. It's just that
recognize
simple.
that the stuff that you're saying is disgusting and deplorable. It's just that you want that approval and you value the approval over your own dignity. The very definition of a coon. Do you not disagree? I mean, do you not agree?
Are we gonna have a conversation or just these long, drawn out diatribes? I really don't have time for you to draw conclusions about my personality. You know nothing about me. You're
I know
saying I'm
you're a
trying to
coon.
suck. You're trying to say I'm sucking the dick of a white man. I don't even know what that means necessarily. But can you give an example of how I'm trying to look for white approval?
Sure. When you ask for honorary Aryan status,
I
you
didn't
never.
ask for it.
Okay, well, when they offer it to you and then you claim it and accept it gleefully, then that to me would be you looking at white approval. It clearly indicates that that white approval was beneficial or at least agreeable to you. They could try to make me an honorary Aryan, and I would reject that wholesale. I'm not
But you would
barbaric
take
like
their
they
money though,
are.
right? But you
I'm
would take
not.
their money though, right?
I'm not barbaric like they are.
But you would
Again,
take their money, right?
so I'm not when you say that reparations is white money, I disagree entirely. As we already established in the conversation, and Frojack agreed with me, the generation of the GDP, the value that was created in this country with the most powerful and strong economy in existence was done off the backs of slave labor. So if anybody's wealth it is, it's my ancestors because we were the ones that generated that wealth. So yes, I will extract the wealth that is owed to me and my ancestors for the ongoing systemic oppression. Typically, when I want to talk about reparations, I talk about it for housing discrimination. I talk about educational discrimination. I talk about bank loans and bank discrimination. That's what I ask for reparations for. I don't really ask for reparations for slavery, though that can be discussed at a later time. Those things are ongoing discrimination that are done by the United States government, and that's not white money. That's money that's generated again by the strongest economy, which was created by my ancestors. So I'm asking for black money.
Do you like repeat the same thing 5 times to pad the runtime and to like, you know, Like, what is this? Why do you keep repeating the same thing over and over? We get it. You think you're owed something because your dead great great grandfather may or may not have picked cotton. Have you done a genealogy test? Do you know if your ancestors owned slaves?
So again, when I talked about reparations, I get that you can't follow the conversation. You might be a little
Like
dense.
a
I'll
yes
help
or
you
no
out. When I
question. Go ahead.
so when I talk about reparations for things like housing, right? That's ongoing. Education, that's ongoing. Banking, that's ongoing. Those things are current. So when I talk about reparations for those things, it has nothing to do with my genealogy to slavery, though yes, my genealogy has been traced.
Okay, so you think you should get payment for what they did?
For what is ongoing, yes. I believe that we are entitled and owed
When you
that in a just system.
When you say ongoing, are you talking about the 2010 Fair Sentencing Act that has a situation where black people get like 30, 40, 50 priors and they consistently get let out for crimes over and over? Is that the type of racial systemic oppression you're talking about, or was it something else?
What you just discussed was a non sequitur, very dishonest. What I talked
Non
about,
sequitur.
what I talked about was
Latin
housing.
for non follow.
What I talked about was housing, bank loans, and educational deprivation. Those three areas are ongoing systemic depression. I mean, systemic oppression that are impacting my people, and those things require redress in a just system. So I'm not going to deal with your diversion and your obfuscation and your complete non sequitur. Can you address the things that I'm actually talking about, or
Yeah,
are you
I
not
can.
capable of the
So do you?
conversation?
Yeah. So what makes you eligible for a bank loan or an acquisition? Let's go there.
Okay, what makes me eligible for a bank loan is that my credit score is 820. My income clearly demonstrates that I should be able to receive these bank loans, and I've obviously have good history and the ability to pay them back. Now, what we discovered was my banking institution is Navy Federal Credit Union, and Navy Federal Credit Union literally discriminated against Black people when it came to their loans, even if we control for income and credit scores, which are the two largest contributing or constraining factors for bank loans. We found that they were still discriminating against Black people in several studies. That requires redress. So when I get a loan and I have to pay more interest on my loan, even though I have a better credit score than my white counterparts, even though I had a better income than my white counterparts, and they're still discriminating against me in those loans, that requires redress if we're talking about justice. And so that's why I feel entitled to these things.
I feel like it'd be better for the conversation if you could find a more, I guess, like squeezed in way to say everything. But I guess I would ask you, is there a reason why that exists outside of racism? Do you think there was any black involvement that could have created a stereotype?
You tell me what the reason is for that existing, because again, the most constraining factors should be and are credit score and income. If we're going to be looking at who's more likely to pay back a loan, it's going to be credit score and income. Those things are not racially, they're not racial. It's just those are objective things that you have. And so then if I have those two things, then we should probably be able to determine that I'm able to pay back my loans. Yet they still were racist towards me and people like me. So then obviously then race is the thing. If not race, then tell me what would be the reason for that disparity?
You kind of lose me when you like go on these long tangents, but I'll try to keep up. But the thing is, right? So if you're talking about bank loans and you're talking about acquisition, ideally it shouldn't be race based, but it is race based, and you could say the reason why is largely because a lot of black people don't have that credit score that you're talking about. A lot of black people might not be the most likely to pay their taxes, so that kind of negates your entire point, in my opinion. I could go deeper into that, but I just don't have time or mental capacity for the monologues after hearing you do so and interrupt them and accuse them of interrupting you for the past hour, being a Timu Marquette, basically.
Okay, so it's really crazy because I do agree with you that you don't have the mental capacity. It's very evident. Again, we controlled specifically for credit scores and income. So pointing to the existence of people that don't have those information would be outside of the control. So I said within the control group, we still found this disparity in their lending practices, which I would say is racist. Can you provide me with the reason for that within the control group? There we go.
Okay,
That's simple
so
and short. See
anyways,
if you can keep up.
Not about keeping up because I'm not intelligent enough. I know you think you're the smartest black person in the world because you've mastered the English European language. Do you speak the language of your ancestors? Probably not. I think you would be a lot better there with all these list of grievances you have. That should be more of a foundational reason why you go back home so that you can talk to people that say, Mita la didi, aminale, awayami. Did you learn the language of your ancestors? I didn't think so. But anywho, uh, like I said, black people contribute stereotypes that are actively sought out against them. They contribute to that largely economically, socially. There's a reason why when me and you go into a store, they're probably going to follow us or look at the cameras. You can cry racism, but I think you should blame your black brothers and sisters for creating that stereotype. So if there is a scenario
Thank you for
where
the 20. Yes,
people are
black people
stereotyped
definitely owe us
against,
reparations, but
even
I'll
when everything
accept
is the
them just
same, it's
leaving.
because of
I'll
this
accept that.
history
Yeah, we'll be generous.
of,
Yeah, we'll leave the
not
tab on
being
the
able to
table.
prove that they're reliable.
Yeah, so I don't think I'm the smartest black person in the world. I just think I'm just the smartest black person in the room. You didn't address my question. Why is there a disparity within the control group? Let's keep it simple and short for you.
Did I not just answer your question?
No, so I'm asking again. Why is there a disparity within the control group?
Why is there a disparity within the control group? I just
Yes, for
answered
the
your
third
question.
time. I didn't obviously hear the answer. Can you answer it one more time? Why is there a disparity within the control group?
Are you listening to respond or are you trying to actually absorb what I'm saying? It doesn't seem very good faith debate.
I'm asking with honestly to respond. I mean, I'm honestly trying to engage, and I don't believe that you adequately responded to the question I asked you.
I
So now
don't think you're trying to be
I'm
good
asking
faith.
you very concise, and you're running
Here
from
we
it.
go, getting
Why?
emotional.
Why is there a
Tampon
disparity?
Tim.
Why is there a disparity within the control group?
All right, listen. Period, Pam. If you can calm down and stop repeating yourself, I could probably answer your question. For
Thank you for the
the
10, Tegu.
11th
Appreciate you, dog.
time, there's a disparity because of a systemic bias that we largely contribute to. There's not a systemic bias against other minorities in the way it is against black people. You think it's because we're the most dark skinned. You don't think it's behavioral at all. You don't think accountability should be in our vocabulary. Non sequitur can be in our vocabulary, but not accountability.
Should the control compensate for the biases?
Yeah. What?
Should the control compensate for the biases?
I think the people that are leading to those biases should maybe just stop. That's what I think, and everything else will kind of even itself out.
That's not an answer to my question. Should the
That's just
control
an answer that you don't want to accept because it doesn't go along with this anti-white narrative.
should the control compensate for the biases?
Are you trying to dominate the conversation or like have a good back and forth? You keep like asking me to answer in the way you want me to. I answered it. You don't like to answer. That's not really my fault.
You responded, but you didn't answer the
Just
question.
keep
Should the
mocking.
control compensate for the biases?
Do you think black people should take accountability?
Should the control compensate for the biases? Are you not going to answer the question?
Should black people stop leaving their kids?
So
Should
that's what
black
I
people stop
figured.
shooting each other? Should black
You
people stop
you
hating on each other
refuse
and showing up to work late and smelling
trying
like
to get them
weed
butter
and banging their
biscuits.
pants?
So this guy, like I said, you're looking for your white approval while actually refusing to actually address
Why
any
is
of the
it white
points that I'm
approval when
making.
every other race agrees?
Look at
Every
that.
other race
I'm
draws the same
asking you a
conclusion.
direct question, and you're claiming to be good faith while
Uh-oh.
refusing to answer very simple questions
You
because
didn't answer
I
any of my
know
questions.
you can't intellectually contend with me.
You can't either.
I know you were
You have
projecting saying that I believe I was the smartest black person in the world. I'm not. I'm just the smartest person in the room, not
you said
black
that
or
already.
otherwise. The
That's what
fact of the
happens when your
matter is,
vocabulary is useless.
the fact of the matter
Oh,
is,
he's getting
I
loud
am
again.
the fact of the matter is, I
It's like
directly
a
address
single black woman.
the fact of the matter
But I
is,
said,
the fact of the matter is,
I said,
the fact of the matter is, I directly addressed your questions and your concerns and your and directly respond to you. You can't do the same for me because I know that all you have are your white talking points that you borrowed from this white identitarian movement because of your internalized racism. You got a problem, bro.
so I
I
want
had that
black
at
people
one
to
point.
stop shooting
So I
each
got to
other. That means
figure
I'm
out
sucking the dick of the
I
white
got
man. That's why
I
your
gotta figure
people.
you gotta
That's why
deal with
your
that
people
yourself.
will never
Get
be
some
anything.
therapy, bro. You clearly hate yourself, and I would say you're people, but I know you're not one of us, right? Like, aren't you an
So
immigrant?
how am I a coon? Wait, so you said I'm not one of you. So how am I a coon? Uh-oh. Go ahead
Because
and put your finger on your head like Malcolm X and
sure,
try to
I
figure it
got you.
out.
I got you.
Uh-oh.
I can answer the question. So
Go ahead, idiot.
the reason why you're still a coon is because there's broader ethnicities, right? There's broader context. So first off, you can
Oh,
zoom in. I got you. You can zoom in to like where towards a very specific ADOS, if you will, ethnicity, and then you have a broader ethnicity, right?
so
Like
what's my
which
race?
is like the Pan African movement,
Yeah,
right?
so
And so then you
race.
have those people. They're black as well, and they can still work against black interests like Kundis Owens.
But
Yeah,
you said I'm
you're
not black, so how can I be a coon if I'm not black? That doesn't make any
what
sense.
what I
You
was
can like
saying.
debate
No, what I
semantics
was
and
not
like
saying
throw
that
a
you
bunch of
weren't
word
black. I was
salad.
saying that you weren't one of us. You aren't of my ethnicity, is what I said.
Dude, are you black or not? Like,
I am ADOS, FBA, if you will. I'm that. Are you?
are you black? Yes or no? Are you a black
I
American?
Yes, I'm black.
Okay, you said I'm not one of you. So what am I? Am I white?
What As I already answered, and it seems like you can't keep up. I said you're not
Can
of
you
my
answer it again?
I answered your yeah, I will, which you wouldn't do earlier. I said you're not of my ethnicity.
What's your ethnicity? Black American. Am I not a black American?
No, I'm referring to my ethnicity as a foundational Black American or ADOS or freedman, if you will. That is a
Is that
distinct.
really ethnicity, or is that just a circumstantial? That's like a circumstance thing. That's not an ethnic thing.
I'm sorry.
Foundational Black American just refers to having a lineage of slaves in the United States. So because my ancestors fought in the wars, that means that we're not the same ethnicity. That makes no sense.
So yeah, I
We
get it.
weren't slaves, and we owned land and people at a certain time period. We owned white people, but I guess that's more evidence of me sucking the white man's dick, owning them. No offense to my white homies over here, but anyways, yeah. So I guess
I don't see what he
when your
uses.
ancestors have a different set of circumstances, that changes the ethnicity. I didn't know that. Okay,
Okay,
that's
so
interesting.
sure. So ethnicity can be zoomed in or out, right? Like you can have like a country-wide ethnicity. Like I can say like I'm just being an American is an ethnicity, but then I can also say being a Black American is a like even like a subsystem within that ethnicity. Being a specific descendant of slavery is its own ethnicity. Like you can have people within the same country that are different ethnicities. Sometimes they might even speak different languages or whatever. Ethnicity can be zoomed in and out, right? And so what I'm saying is that specific ethnic group, which is ADOS or FBA or whatever it is, which is the specific descendant of slaves in America that developed their own cultural identity, is its own ethnicity, and you're not part of it. But it's okay.
That's not
You
true. When
found
you
your
zoom out,
ethnicity
it's called
in
a
these white
nationality.
people because that's what you are.
When you zoom out, it's called a nationality. It's not called an ethnicity at that point.
I'm sorry, I'm not really interested in a further conversation on educating you on what ethnicity is. I'm right, look it up and then you'll come to the knowledge of the truth. Or it can continue to be ignorant. I don't care one way or the other. So hey, but
Okay,
now
so are we the same race?
yes, we are the same race.
So you think something that has to bond black people has to be in this like lens of perpetual victimhood and wanting a check for some shit that your dead great granny did
No,
or may have not done?
I would
Hmm?
say what bonds black people is
Trauma?
culture. And so for
That's not
example,
true. It's not
okay,
true.
well,
Jamaicans and Trinidadians have different culture and they're all black. Oops.
sure,
But
but
anyways,
I'm saying
yeah,
no, 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 no. I'm
it's
going
a
to
racial.
respond to you're interrupting a bunch.
Go ahead.
What unites this ethnicity is culture. So then, yes, we can be both black but have different cultures, which is why we have a different ethnicity. For example, Jamaican is an ethnicity. And so then even though that like might be a Caribbean ethnicity, that's not the same thing as my ethnicity. And so even though we're both black, meaning we're Negroes that have descended from sub-Saharan Africans, it doesn't change the fact that we have distinct ethnicities. And again, this is getting kind of circular because I don't want to continue to educate you on this. You're just uninformed about what ethnicity means.
You're telling me stuff I already know.
You think
I
ethnicity is
already
just
know this. I'm trying to save your breath. I'm trying to save your breath.
you think ethnicity is just the same as race or just the same as
Menstrual
nationality,
Martian.
and they're not the same. So unfortunately, I don't want to engage in this any further. Do you have any other more questions?
Do I have any other more questions? No, I don't. I didn't ask you anything really to learn. It's just to try to
Oh,
understand your perspective because
oh, sure. I
you're
know you weren't trying to
using
learn. It was obvious.
you're already teaching. You're like teaching me stuff I already know. But
Oh, so then
anyways,
if you already knew it, then how did you not know that I was a distinct ethnicity from Africans or Jamaicans? If you already
when
understood what
when
ethnicity
did
meant.
I ever say that you weren't a dis? What are you talking about? I never said that you
Oh, you
weren't
can't even follow
distinct
the
from
conversation here.
Jamaicans.
Let's not get too
I
far into the
said
matter.
me
Let's
and
move on.
you. I said me and you cluster within the same ethnic group is what
And then
I
you
said. I
and then
didn't
you tried
say
to broaden it to race.
you're like asking me a question and
You tried to
interrupting
broaden
me
it to
answering.
race. I know, like you've been doing. You broadened it to race.
I didn't interrupt you a single time.
Are your ancestors descendants? I mean, were your ancestors slaves, of victims of the chattel slavery system in America?
As far as I'm aware of, no, they arrived either in the
Definitive.
late 14. Are you gonna interrupt like every time you ask me something? Are you gonna interrupt?
Yeah, I'm
It's
just
very
giving you the
rude of
same
you.
treatment. I'm giving you the same treatment. If you want to actually be civil, you got to practice it first, and then I'll go ahead and reset and get back to a civil conversation. But you started it by acting that way and refusing to actually engage. So don't sit here and try to actually play the victim now. You did those
So
behaviors from the very beginning of the conversation.
the late 1400s, the early 1500s, I believe, they were Castilian, so they were Spanish conquistadors that were Negroid. They would have arrived with a majority European. I guess they would have descended large in part from the Moors that were a majority, to correct you on that as well, Arab. They were a majority Arab. The next demographic composition would have probably been North African, so indigenous Amazigh. I don't know if you're one of those black people that thinks all Africans are black people. And then it would have been like a minority sub-Saharan African. So I think it kind of comes from that lineage. And then we started to own land in like the southern eastern part of the United States, I think like Florida. And then we just started to like venture out in the States, fight in the wars, that type of stuff, mix. I have a lot of mixed ancestry. You said 40% European. Where'd you get that from? I never said that I was 40% European ever.
I
Those
might have
words never came out of my mouth.
been confusing you with some other coon. Who knows? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
It
knew
really
you were
doesn't
going to say
matter.
that. I knew you
I'm
were
not
going to say
very.
that.
I got you.
I knew you were
Good.
going
So
to
then
say
why you
that.
asked the question? I'm not really interested in your ethnicity, to be honest with you. What really what it really boils down to is I really got into, like I said, the specifics about why reparations are owed.
Well, you're
Um,
not getting them.
I
So how
did.
about we just talk about that? You're not getting shit. So you can complain
Okay.
about what you think you're owed. You're not getting anything. So you can and try to like act like
Sure.
I'm sucking the dick of the white man. But I've
You
never
are.
once begged the white man for reparations. And I actually stand on business, and I actually encourage my people to not be bitches and to go
We're not
groveling
your
for some
people.
money.
We're not your people.
Uh,
You're a distinct
it
ethnicity.
doesn't matter. You're not like
We're
the
not your
moderator
people.
on that. You
Gentlemen,
don't
very
get
good conversation thus far. Can
Yeah.
we take the next 120 seconds or so back and forth and kind of come to a resolution? We don't want to cut it short, but we've been going a while. We have another person in line that wants to get in. I don't want to abruptly cut it, so maybe the next 1 or 2 minutes, if you guys want to say your final words and whatnot, I'll go ahead and mute myself again. Go ahead.
Sure. I'll just go ahead and say, and then I'll go ahead and dip.
Well,
Ultimately, like
activities.
what this demonstrated, I called you a coon. And the
Mike's on
reason
the
why I
way.
called you that is because it does seem like you want to use white talking points while not being honest and engaging with like actual history. It seems like you're looking
Goodness
for this
gracious.
white
I know, it's just
approval,
the
which is
same
what
shit.
they're
It's
giving you, which is why they
unbelievable.
called you an Aryan, whatever, and why they tell you that you're one of the good ones and you like that approval and it feels good. But ultimately, what I recognize is you're just like Kundis Owens. You don't actually want to engage with the truth. You don't actually want to like acknowledge like actual systemic oppression that's ongoing, which is why when I talked about the banking and all those other things, like the ongoing stuff, you refuse to actually engage. You couldn't tell
Give me
me
one
why that
second.
disparity exists, and it does
Let me get a coffee.
actually exist. So the fact of the matter is, systemic oppression is real, racism is
How's
real, and
everybody
if you
doing?
really
Tap
wanted
in
a
with me,
conversation,
guys.
you could have reached out to me, but you
Everybody
went
in
ahead
the
and let these
chat.
guys gatekeep you. But I sent you a friend request on Discord so we can have a genuine conversation. We can preamble beforehand so we know exactly what we're going to talk about if you're actually interested in that. I don't think you are. You just want white approval, so you were hoping you would get some little short slam dunks in front of these white people, which is why you refuse to have the conversation with me independently. But I sent you a friend request. My name is Mr. Fanatiq, Fanatiq. On all platforms. I go by Fanatics. You can get in contact with me if you actually want to have a conversation.
Right.
If not, then go ahead and
Go ahead.
kick rocks and continue to tap dance for white people so that you can get your little approval. I'm out. Peace.
Oh
okay. So I
no.
just
Really? He
respond.
just did you like that, bro?
Damn.
He
No,
got mogged
I
for 10
only
minutes straight and then just had to do the
respond.
little peace out. That's wild, bro. Good job, Twan. That was actually really good. Very well done.
Yeah,
Well done.
I'll say what I was gonna say to him for the stream, and then I guess he can come
Yes.
and see it later. So
Yes.
he
Of
said
course.
I didn't answer why there's a disparity. I said we largely contribute to that, cultural bias and perception that he doesn't want to acknowledge. He sent me a friend request. I think we should change that to hater request. I don't think he wants to pursue friendship. And then he said I'm like cooning and selling out or whatever. what I try to emphasize, or what I used to try to emphasize, because I already told Jackson, like, I don't care anymore about being considered black. I'm leaving that community behind. They want to be slaves. They want to go grovel. That's them. I'm trying to build a community with my fans and my people to be strong, to be men, not doing this. Can I curse a little bit or no?
Sure.
Do your thing, dude.
Anything. Yeah, same.
Not doing like this resistance liberal faggot, like talking like a woman shit. I really don't like that. It's very bad faith. I'm not going to have a conversation with that individual because I could just see long term it's not going to go anywhere. But I try to encourage strength from black people. I try to encourage self-determinism, controlling your own destiny. But apparently that means I'm tap dancing. It never means I'm tap dancing for any race other than white. Whenever I'm saying black people should work hard, it's never Asian supremacy. It's never any other supremacy. So the hatred of the white man is so profound that they won't accept the truth and they won't accept accountability. And the last thing I'll say is that actually evidences the fact that you guys as dicks are in their mouths, not mine. Because when I talk, I seldom think about the white community. I say, black people are doing this. This is what you have to do. Oh, the white man, the white man, the white man. Post white people. Ask white people for reparations. So if we don't culturally align, then we don't culturally align. But
Totally.
as
Yeah.
usual, I appreciate you guys for having me up.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about the whole back and forth?
Well, our fundamental conviction is that we are taking our side as a people, but I do also hold space for extending respect to you. And I have to say, I mean, that must be a difficult uphill battle. Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, it devolved immediately. It's just a incessant emotional tirade. There's really nowhere to go from there. But I appreciate you coming on. I thought you did well. I apologize if it was kind of spontaneous. I know that you wanted to talk to him, and he was talking about it loosely, so we kind of
considering the spontaneity of it, it was quite good though. I think this was awesome. We really appreciate you coming on to do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, man. Twan, we'll talk to you soon, bro.
Take care.
See ya.
Later.